welcome back to the second episode of the alternative history of the world. So, if you want a recap of the first episode, well, basically, the Chaco War, or yeah, I think that's what it's called, ended with Bolivia losing, and Saudi Arabia united with something right here. I forgot. I don't know. I looked at a different map, so it might have been accurate. I cannot speak. I'm sorry. I don't have a script. And Ethiopia got split. And I don't think I'm really missing anything. I did some research, and I did do some research on some specific countries and how stable they were. And we're gonna look at those countries, like some countries right here in South America. Colombia and Venezuela, well, they weren't really stable because, you know, the Great Depression happened. So because of that, both these countries were just not having the best of its time. Well, Colombia Civil War. It's mainly gonna happen in like rural Colombia. Guys, I'm a native English speaker and I cannot pronounce the word rural. Yeah, it's a very hard word to pronounce for some reason. For me, I don't know why. I'm a native English speaker. Anyways, moving on. Well, Colombia fights back these you know, these guys which want a different, you know, government basically, because, you know, it's politically unstable, economically unstable, and just not having the greatest time in his life. So, well, Colombia is about to have many different, you know, civil war groups, like this group over here, which are communists, and right here in gray is a group of people that don't want a government to exist, basically. Anyways, moving on. Well, these big separatists right here in red, they're the more popular group, and, you know, they're taking over the communists now. This is great for them, but the communists now have access to the ocean, and I think Bogota, which is like in the middle of Colombia, which is like down here, is controlled by these red guys. I don't know what group you call these guys, but we'll have to figure it out soon. Basically, it's just like something to replace the current government in Colombia. But, you know, these communists, well, they're starting to rise up in Colombia, and, you know, the United States does not like that. So right away, this group that doesn't want a government, well, they start to rage on, and, you know, it's not gonna go so well. Because, you know, the separatists, well, they're just about to take over. But meanwhile, the current Colombian government does fight back these guys, so an L for them. And right here, the current Colombian government does focus to fight back the communists, and same right here as this other group. But, you know, this group's pretty powerful. I mean, come on. And right here, well, basically, it's time for the communists to just, like, surrender, I guess, because, you know, well, those guys don't have a presence in Colombia anymore. And these guys, well, there we go. So now half of Colombia is literally divided, and, well, some countries are gonna be here to support them, like the United States, even though it's probably not the greatest time because, you know, they're in a Great Depression. So that's just great. But, you know, the Colombian government does fight back the separatists, and, you know, we'll check back on them later. Well, we're barely moving. Let's go to Venezuela real quick. Well, they just turned blue. And oh boy, yeah, like I said, this group's now popping up in Venezuela, and it's pretty big. But we do have a different type of separatist, which is basically the red team, but it's just a different government. I don't know what we call these guys, but, you know, they have similar ideologies to this group that was here in southern Colombia. But we do now have communists in Venezuela, so basically that just happened, and now we have, well, that happening, and the communists now taking back these guys until it's all over for them. So now there's that. The communists versus the other guys that want a better government for themselves. You know, I think the current leader of Venezuela in this universe is a dictator, if I'm not wrong. I didn't really do that much research. I mainly did research on how stable it was, but it did say that there was like a dictator or something. I'll have to check back later or something, or probably never. But yeah, Venezuela just wiping out the communists, and the Venezuelan Civil War is over just within 3 months. So now they have a new government, and it's mainly in favor of, like, you know, the Soviets and the NoNo Germans, because, you know, well, they're still fighting to be, you know, a political, you know what I mean. They're trying to, you know, rule Germany. Well, the Baltic states, well, because, you know, the Soviet Union, they kind of went back their old lands, you know, from the previous Russian Empire. Well, the Baltic states are like, no. And so because of that, they all decide to unite, and there's that. In Hungary, well, looks like Hungary's in a bit of a collapse today. Now we got communists down here in the south, and right here in the north. But we do have something interesting happening though. Romania. Well, basically what the Romanians are gonna do is take some land out of Hungary, because you know Hungary is politically unstable, and well, Hungary well, Budapest gets captured, but well, Czechoslovakia is also gonna take an opportunity here to take some land out of Hungary, just because you know it's funny. And they take some land, but it's not really that much. But you know, Romania does take lots of land from Hungary, and then the communists will take the rest. And let's see what Hungary looks like. And just like that, well, Hungary did lose some land, but now they have a new communist government in which, you know, Soviet Union supports Hungary because of that. Well, I did say we're gonna check on Japan, right? Yeah, this is Mongolia's involved, and we have Xinjiang separatists, and we have Japan just rolling out in the whole country. It's not going so hot for the Chinese. Either the Colombians, because well, the separatists won, and they mainly have the same sort of ideologies as NoNo Germany, you know, the NoNo Germany that happened in this universe. You know, our universe, not the universe I'm talking about right now. You know, which okay, it's confusing. Never mind. But well, China is not doing so hot, of course, but you know they do some major kickbacks from the Japanese, in which they do get the coast back again. But then, unfortunately for the Chinese, well, Mongolia does take some land back, and it starts a push into China. But then we have Xinjiang separatists just raging on, and that's probably going to be the last of that moving. Well, there's also much more going on down south in India and Pakistan, which we'll check that later. Let's just check on this right now. Let's see what this front line is going to look like in, you know, in a couple months, I guess. Japan just made a big mistake in which they sent a lot of troops which really weren't prepared. And this is what we got right here, in which, you know, that is bad news for the Japanese, but, you know, China still doesn't really have that much. I mean, yeah, they still have a lot of their land taken away, but they, you know, they got a majority of their land back, which is good. Which Mongolia, recognizing their failures, well, they just kind of opt out of the war. And China happy about it, but also not happy about it because, you know, Mongolia wanted to take some land out of China, so they're probably going to do something about that. Well, Xinjiang, either independent or Turkestan, or, you know, whatever you call it, East Turkestan, basically different names, same country, same thing. Which the Soviets do want it, but, you know, they literally just got independence, and it's pretty unstable there, so I personally wouldn't recommend the Soviet Union if you're going to try to take some land in Central Asia, basically. And because of that, well, China is more unstable than ever. Same as Japan, they're a little bit unstable, but you know, they still got a lot of resources from China, at least. I mean, that's good news for them. And basically, it is almost at the end of 1934, in which, you know, it's almost 1935, and you know, there's more of a mini civil war that's gonna happen, and that is here in Germany, of course, and right here in Munich. Well, yeah, something just happened, which, you know, it is the NoNo party, if you know what I mean. Obviously, this is where Austrian man, mustache guy, still leading it, in which, you know, it's a mini civil war, because, you know, it doesn't really last that long. I mean, literally, the NoNo Germans literally get kicked out pretty easily, but they do run to Austria, though, so there's that in the mountains, like the Alpine Mountains. Because of that, they all escaped to the Alpine Mountains, in which Germany's like, well, we just got into Austrian territory, which Austria's like, really? Which Germany's like, no, in which Germany's like, no, not like that. Literally, we have NoNo Germans running to your country, in which Austria's like, oh, okay, I thought you were trying to fight us. In which, you know, yeah, all the NoNo Germans are hiding in Austria, in which, you know, Austria now has to deal with that on their own. Which Austria now thinks this is like a little thing that Germany did on purpose, but you know, now all these guys do just like disappear, but they're all hiding in the Alpine Mountains and are planning to start a little thing in Austria instead of Germany, because you know, Germany's pretty unstable, but you know, more unstable than ever because of that little mini civil war in Bavaria. I mean, Bavaria is just horrible living right now. Well, now we have UK now having to deal with something else, so that is just beautiful. And well, it's not really going out so well, for the British, because you know we do have some Indian separatists right here in the south, which goes pretty successful. And well, the British do, of course, well, do a very violent setback to the Indians, in which all of them just like calm down for a second. But then we have Pakistanis right here forming, in which the British can't really knock back. You know? But you know, the Indians do here, well, we do have an opportunity in the north. But then right here in Bangladesh, that is it for that's it. That's literally it for the episode, and we'll find out what's gonna happen next. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. If you haven't, you should like and subscribe.